All right. So thanks again, 80, for accepting my invitation to come and look at your very first White Dwarf. That's issue 135 with a classic looking Fangorn cover.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, I mean, it's. Was this used on something? I can't remember whether this piece of artwork was actually used on a book or anything. I've absolutely no idea, but it's there's a ton going on. There's really something great stuff. Now um we've got our typical contents page there, which is uh look, if I remember correctly, it's Simon Forrest, or who was actually the editor at the time.
Mm.
No sign of Robin Dews at this moment. I think he was working with the company, but I'm not sure whether he was actually working in White Dwarf or not. But opposite that is you got an advert for Here We Go, which was the compilation book of loads of material that was published in White Dwarf. Before that, all to do with the Goths, Snake Bites, and Blood Axe clans. I had a copy of that book. I mean, it was huge. We've got Citadel News here. It's talking about the freebooters book, which came out after Here We Go, which had the freebooters themselves in, and also Evil Sons, and I think it was Bad Moons, and the Death Skulls were in that, I believe.
This is a good one.
Oh yeah, absolutely beautiful. Wayne England's dwarf Longbeards.
Mm.
I mean, they are terrific. Great looking paint job. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. And no Goblin Green bases.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, they're brown, aren't they? But I mean, when we stopped having Goblin Green and went over to using more sort of the brown bases, I mean that I really preferred that and still do.
Mhm.
But yes, it's interesting to see that the lack of Goblin Green bases, which that's pretty unusual, but they look great. Ah, aha.
Aha.
We have the Ruined Temple by Dave Andrews and Phil Lewis. I can't remember if I actually had to go at putting any of this together. I may very well have done at least a section of wall or something like that. The interesting thing about this particular article is that it it doesn't say we're going to pretty. It doesn't kind of go, here's like a complete ruined template. It says, okay, we'll start off by just building an end section, building a short wall section. We'll start with that first, and then we'll do a long section. So it's interesting to, rather than a complete building, they say, well, okay, let's do the put together the elements that we can need. And you can do what you want really with it, which is quite interesting. Now we're getting into freebooters. I mean, it wasn't going to be long before they were going to be publishing the entire book on this, but I think they did publish a lot of it in White Dwarf, as even around the time they were printing the complete book. But you've the freebooters I always found really interesting. Um, the idea of them, because they weren't part of the clans, and I was never a massive fan of the clans. Um, I was even as time went on. I mean, they were great in Epic, but the idea of there being these overall clans seemed a little bit not so sure about them. Here we go. Right, this is where the issue really caught me. This is the part where that I when I looked through this issue, this was the part that really grabbed me and grabbed my attention. Because I had a background in kind of military modelling. I was quite I was aware of the idea that you could convert miniatures, and particularly plastic tanks and all that kind of thing. But coming to this modelling guide, which was introduced by John Blanche himself, and the idea of actually creating models and them being made out of metal, and the things you had to do in order to convert metal models was something completely new to me. And the first thing you see is this amazing Tzeentch Chaos warband by Dale Hurst. And it was like, what in the is that? And absolutely amazing. That first shot of all the models of the Chaos Spawn in the background. And there's so much going on. It's like, wow, well, these are just amazing. And the best thing about them is a lot of them are so subtle conversions that you'd actually think they were bought that way. For example, the Chaos Champion with his who's one of my favourites, with his book, but he's got this pink horror arm on him, which is like cut and pinned into place. Now, this was like the first time I'd kind of come across models having something quite that large. You can't just glue it in place on a model; it'll just drop straight off. So in this case, you had to actually drill out the arm and drill out both arms, and then put a piece of pin in to pin the arm in place. It's the first time I've come across this idea, the Chaos Spawn, and it's like, what is that? Is that a head under there? Yeah, with a Minotaur head on top. Then you've got the head and body of a Tzeentch horror underneath, actually flip round and underneath, and then you've got like legs made from Tzeentch horror arms, I believe. Absolutely never seen anything like this in my life. It was just amazing, and binding all these models together was such a strong color aesthetic. And again, I'd never come across this before. Now, this blew my mind when I saw it, and that is the Orc Gene Stealer hybrids. And I had not seen anything like this. We were collecting stuff to do with Space Hulk, and so I was quite aware of the hybrid models and everything. And the next thing you know, they're part of an Orc warband, and in fact a freebooter warband as well. And that was a crazy mix of models, and it absolutely blew me away. And then we get into start to look at each individual model here, and you've got the Patriarch at the top, and then next to it we have the first of a couple of the plastic Gene Stealer hybrids that you got with the Gene Stealer box, which was part of the third supplement to Space Hulk. And they've got Orc arms and a Gene Stealer arm on one of them, and they're carrying weapons, and it's extras and there are extra arms on there. Oh, absolutely amazing. Here we go. Now, Captain Badrook's flash kits. Now, we have flash kits models now who you can see are a tip of the hat to these guys. And when I saw these chaps, I was just like, how many banners? They've all got banners. They're all completely customized models, and they're amongst my favourite of the Orcs models that were were out at the time because they were so different from the regular models that were out there. Looked absolutely amazing. And then we have individual shots of each one. Got the Captain Badrook himself looking absolutely splendid with his 3 back banners. He looks brilliant, great looking gun. With I think there's like a dragon head on the end of one of his bolters. I'm not sure where that's from, and the guy next to him is the same. They've got pieces from all over the place to try and make those guns look bigger and more customized, and more back banners. Then you've got model at the bottom, which is one of the it's another one of the captain models with a power claw, and I think he was a complete single cast. But he was one of my favourites, that one. I really liked him. So on this page, and the next few pages, we've got a whole section on custom weapons. And here's where I started to go, well, hang on a sec, these orc guys, they have all these custom weapons that you can give them, and start to see these great drawings. And let's have a look. Absolutely terrific. I mean, I think that's John Blanche. You know, it looks like his handwriting on those custom weapons. Absolutely beautiful things. And I don't know whether the models came first. I think the models probably came first. But gosh, those drawings are absolutely beautiful. Now, this photograph, I mean, it wasn't significant at the time, but I realise now that within a very short amount of years, this would be my life for quite a while. It's basically Orc Army going up against Jez Goodwin's Eldar, which was basically me and my mate Chris with our 40k gaming. And it's strange to look at this and think that at the time I'll have just looked at this and thought, oh, that's a nice photograph and stuff. Not little realizing that within a very short time, I would have had my own Orc Army, and Chris would have had his Eldar and Jez Goodwin's amazing miniatures. So it's a beautiful thing, a great photograph, and one of the classic photography backgrounds that we used. I can't remember how many of those backgrounds we had. I mean, I think we had maybe 3 or 4, or maybe that might be generous actually. But those backgrounds with those painted backgrounds always really helped to add extra depth to the pictures that we were doing. So it's an absolutely beautiful thing. When that was about 1998, it would have been. I decided I wanted to collect a Chaos Army and collect them just out with metal miniatures, no plastic, just metal single cast miniatures. And amongst that, I've got loads of stuff, and some of the miniatures I collected, those amazing Chaos Knights. The funny thing is that I didn't realise until I actually bought them and compared them to the other Chaos Knights that were out at the time. But the horses were absolutely tiny. But the one I really want to focus in on are the Chaos Dwarfs at the bottom. Now I've still got my Chaos Dwarfs, and I got all of these. I think all of them, or maybe the guy with the crossbow I didn't have, but I got all of these guys, and I absolutely fell in love with them because they're literally miniature versions of the Chaos Warrior models that were available, and they're absolutely beautiful little miniatures. I've got mine all painted up in like a brass colour, but I'm considering stripping them all down again and painting them in this more multi-classic, more multicolored way, which actually I just think looks so fantastic. But I've got individual photographs of a lot of these guys, and they just look absolutely fantastic. So we come on to really why I bought the issue, actually, which was Genestealer Invasion, which was missions for Space Hulk, Deathwing, and Genestealer. Now, I'm assuming that we had all the supplements by this stage when we got this, but it's hard to remember, really, or at least we were in the process of getting them anyway. But we played so much Space Hulk, and we were playing through missions like every week. Chris and I were just bashing through these missions and playing them through, and to get more grist for the wheel was always a good thing. And it talks here about actually playing them through as campaigns. And we always enjoyed actually playing them as campaigns, really, because it just added that extra dimension to what we were doing. Here we go. We got this page of Orc freebooters here. And oh gosh, I think I must have had virtually all of them at one stage or another. I know I had a load of the Storm Boys, the Khorne Storm Boys. I always thought I didn't particularly like the models, actually, but the Khorne Storm Boys idea I quite liked. I mean, the idea of orcs having an affinity for Khorne, I always quite liked that idea, because of course, if you look at the Khorne sigil, the emblem of Khorne, it looks so much like an orc face, it's untrue. And now we come to a set of miniatures which have to be amongst my favourites of in all of Citadel. This double page spread here with the Aspect Warriors on, which I have all these models. And I think they did, because you've got three of the actual aspects there. They of course did a fourth model, an extra model to kind of give them more stuff, and I got that, and I got all those as well. But I mean, they stand the test of time. You could use them in games now, and no one should be batting an eyelid. They are just so timeless and perfect as miniatures, and solid, beautiful single cast models. Exactly the kind of thing I really, really love. These are just the pinnacle. I mean, make a nonsense of the Space Marine models that are out at the time, and in many ways the orcs as well. I mean, Jess just did. He went beyond with these. They were just so great. The whole aesthetic, and they have a unified look to them, which is just absolutely stunning. This piece of art was used on the freebooter cover, and it's just lovely. It's the colours. I'd never quite seen a piece of orc artwork where the way that they were drawn and the way the colours worked on them worked in such an evocative way. Absolutely beautiful piece of artwork of these flash kits, guys, these pirates. Absolutely beautiful.
Okay, Adi, well, it's been a really nice time to listen to you talking and reminiscing about your very first White Dwarf, and I hope you enjoyed going through it with me, mate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's amazing looking through this issue, and realizing that the foundations to a lot of the hobby stuff that I did later with the orcs and with the Eldar and with freebooters and all the Space Hulk stuff is all in this issue. And bear in mind that there are other pages of stuff in here that had no interest for me whatsoever, and yet it was still packed with stuff that was great, that I just made me absolutely fall in love with the hobby.
All right, Adi. Well, thanks again, mate, for your time today, and I really appreciate it for sharing it with us in the community. And I'll catch you again next time.
Okay, see you later, mate. Thank you.
And if you'd like to listen and watch more of the issue covered today with Adi, then head over to Patreon to see the Raw Dwarf version available now.